just gonna head to my basement,
Good. That's the best place to talk about what we need to
my
talk.
hidey hole.
I'll go like this. ABC Illawarra is where you are, and that is Descendents, because the Descendents are going to be in Australia. They're going to be playing the Yours and Ours Festival and a bunch of other shows around Australia. And Milo Aukerman is here now. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Well, how are you doing? There was a
I'm doing great.
okay, because there was a bit of a scare a little while ago.
Yeah, yeah. I had a bit of a heart issue. I had a blocked artery, and they put a stent in there, which opens the heart artery back up. And I'm feeling pretty good now. I got to say.
It was very cute seeing Bill Stevenson staying back in Barcelona, helping you out at the hospital, making all those videos, letting everyone know that you were okay.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. We've been friends forever, and I think when he had some of his health scares in the 2010 2011 period,
Yeah.
I kind of supported him. So it was kind of like, this is what we do for each other. And it was actually made it a lot more fun for me, because I was stuck in the hospital, and he was with me. And then after I got released from the hospital, we just went to the beach and had a great splash in the Barcelona beaches. So that was fun.
Yeah. And before your hospital stuff, you ended up doing almost like a solo Descendant set and different band members and stuff. So it's been a weird little time.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, I feel real bad for the rest of the band, because they couldn't make it out to the Canada show.
Hmm. Oh,
I made it out. I made it out to the Canada show. This was up north of Quebec City. I made it out there, and so we figured, well, since one guy's there, I'll
hmm.
do some solo stuff. And face to face help. They learned some of the songs, and we did some face to face did some Descendant songs with me. So we made the best of it. It was kind of fun. It was a unique experience, I think, for the fans at least.
Although it does remind me of the first time you were in Australia where a whole bunch of people got up to sing when you lost your voice.
Right, in Brisbane, I as my mom would say, that was a learning experience, because I learned about things like don't drink too much coffee,
Hmm.
and that, I drank so much coffee I couldn't even sleep that night. And so um when I got on stage, I was just wrecked. I just hadn't slept, and yeah, so there was a whole bunch of learning that came out of that I think will help to avoid the same scenario again. So
Well, yeah, it hasn't happened since, I don't think. And is that why when people watch you play live most recently, you have a camel pack full of some sort of rehydration?
yeah. Yeah, because what I've learned is, I mean, there's three things that really are just absolutely crucial. One is preparation, obviously. I spent a lot of time in my basement here doing karaoke, essentially, to our songs, and basically, yeah, I have to toughen up my voice a little bit before I go out on the road, just get it all kind of like, nice and strong. But that's one, preparation. But the other one is hydration, as you said. I have to kind of take all that water in, and then sleep is the third one. So it's kind of like it's a not a foolproof, but it's almost a foolproof formula. Just kind of do those three things, and you're going to be okay.
And of course, I mean, you kind of predicted the hard issue, didn't you? With
Yeah,
the song.
that's good. Yeah, because, and I think I after it happened, and I was kind of online I was looking at some of those videos that Bill and I did together, and
Yeah.
one of the comments was like, "Yeah, he didn't follow his own advice that well." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I was doing pretty well. I would say dietary wise, I do okay, but and exercise wise, I do pretty well too. I walk all the time. The problem is I just have a huge genetic thing in my family.
Predisposition, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it says in that song. The lyrics of that song are, "Grandpa died at 45." My dad had three open heart surgeries himself. So the males in my family are cursed, basically. And so, I feel like I would have had to have been a monk in order to have it all work out, basically. Um, but I'm doing better now. I'm at this point, I've cut out some of the bad stuff. diet wise, and I'm starting to get back into like a better exercise regime and that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully it's all up from here.
Talking to Milo from the Descendents, they're going to be in Australia playing a bunch of shows, including Yours and Ours. And Yours and Ours is at Wollongong University, the University of Wollongong, which is beautifully appropriate since the big thing about the Descendents is you went back to college, you went to university, you kind of focused on the band, your career instead of the band. You were doing, was it biochemistry?
Yeah, I was doing kind of genetics, molecular genetics, focusing on plants is what I did. And so I was able to be gainfully employed doing that for about 15 years till I finally got laid off in 2016 and then just became a musician.
So it wasn't your decision. You didn't decide to finally focus after 37 years in the band to focus on the band full time. The career side of things made that decision for you.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I was working in a company where things had gotten kind of miserable for me at the company. I mean, in terms of like really kind of not having any autonomy or not having any say in what I was doing, and being kind of feeling a little bit downtrodden about the whole event. And at the same time, I was playing with the band, and so I was kind of like sitting there going, maybe I shouldn't be doing this science thing anymore because it's too much of a drain on me psychologically. It's just, I wasn't really enjoying it as much. On the other hand, I go off and play with a band and it was just so much fun. And then I get laid off and it's kind of like, okay, that's pretty perfect,
It
So
normally,
I haven't looked.
it normally happens like 2 years into a band or like 6 months into a band, whatever. The boss gets annoyed if you taking time off and sacks you. It happened to you almost 40 years into being in the band.
Yeah. I had some good bosses who were just letting me were letting me go off and do my shit. And but and even at this company that I was at, they were pretty okay with it. I was using all my vacation time to go play shows with the band, but it's just, it's corporate science. It's, they eventually they just downsize and I was done.
Do you reckon if you were using your scientific powers like biochemistry, molecular biology to do some cool things to move that field forward, like working in research, working in that kind of thing, rather than sort of beholden to a company, you reckon you'd be more interested in getting back into that world?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I originally wanted to do. But I just, because of my kind of like domestic circumstances, I found myself in an area of the country where I could more easily go just work in the industry. And so I did. I worked in the industry for 15 years. And actually, I mean, I don't regret it at all. In fact, there's certain aspects of academic research that are kind of like not suitable for me either. It's a very political, being in academia is a very political kind of environment too.
It's mostly writing. From what I've spoken to the scientists at the University of Wollongong, it is 90% writing grant applications.
Yeah. So that's the downside of all that. But yeah, I'm not looking to get back into any kind of research at this point. I just feel like I'm having too much fun doing what I'm doing.
Excellent. I think maybe all have been to Wollongong, but I don't think Descendents have been to Wollongong before.
No, I don't think so. We've played obviously, Sydney and Melbourne, but never Wollongong. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And the thing about Descendents, like the songs, I guess because you come from that sort of hardcore world, they can be some really fast, really short, really snappy and angry. But there's some real love songs, like Good Things, songs on the last album, like Beyond the Music, which is kind of like this platonic love song about your mates. It's really sentimental pop songs. What's the musical directive when it comes to Descendents and writing songs?
It's really just, if you've got something that's, I'm going to say, sticking in your craw, it's something, you've got something that you really got to get off your chest. And that could be, at certain points in our lives, that obviously was, some romance that you were in, or something related to a girl or something. But lately it's been, I've spent a little more time lately kind of being bummed out about, our political direction in this country. And so that there's, recently songs that have become more political in that realm. But it's not something that I necessarily want to define myself as, like, well, now I'm a political writer or anything like that. It's just that whatever's really animating me at any moment, that becomes fodder for a song. And like you said, that song, No More Fat or whatever, that's what was animating me. Is like, oh man, my doctor says I can't eat this food anymore. I'll write a song about it. So it's
You write
really
a
just
song about it and then entirely forget what your doctor said after you've written the song for a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah.
right.
But the suffrage record, that definitely lent into, what you were feeling at the time politically as well. And
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Well, after Hypercaphium, you were talking about putting out new music. So there were a couple of songs. Then you put out The Ninth and Walnut, which was new vocals, but music was recorded like 20 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there any new Descendents sort of on the way?
Well, we've recorded about 20 plus songs that are new. And those could be put out. It's just the problem is it only represents the input of, or it only represents the songwriting of myself and Stefan. And so we refuse to put out a record until it's got, four part kind of like a songwriting going down. So we're just waiting to see what Bill and Carl are going to end up writing. I mean, whatever Bill writes, it'll just be the best song on the record. That's just how it rolls, So, we're just all we're having to be patient about it, just because, it's like you can't really force these things. And so, as I said, we've got songs written, but they're just not ready. They're just not ready to be released because they don't have the complement of other songs.
Yeah, and whatever Carl writes will have very few root notes on the bass, and will be where else, all over the bass.
Yeah, all over the bass. Yeah, he'll write a song that's lead bass, of course.
So do you reckon, like, bands that sort of started around the same time as Descendents or a little bit after, there's a lot of bands that have just been all the way through. All they do is play, they tour, they play and tour. Descendents is different because, apart from, I guess, Bill and then Stefan and Carl sort of started all and went about a different sort of band, but taking those breaks, what do you think that does for a band in terms of longevity? Like, it seems like you're talking like a band that's only like 20 years old instead of 40 years old. Like, do you feel like a different sort of band because you have had another life? You've had other things to do in your life besides that touring and recording cycle?
Yeah, I think it keeps it really fresh because, all the times where I was doing the science and kind of pining and yearning to get back into music, and then I get back into music and I would have a new lease on life every time I would come back. And I think it's just because, yeah, it does keep things new and exciting. And I think that's part of the reason why we don't tour like crazy now. I mean, we'll do maybe 70 or 80 shows in a year or something like that. But the reason why we don't tour any more than that is because we want to keep it exciting. We want it to be like the four friends that get to meet up. So every time we fly into the same city to play a show, we're just like, it's a big family reunion, and that keeps it fun for us. That's what's worked for us so far, is just to have it be like to put an emphasis on the friendships and to put an emphasis on fun on stage, and not worry so much about like, oh, we've got to play like 300 shows a year or something like that. It's just that's not anything that anyone wants to do really anymore.
And it's kind of worked. Nice work. Well, these shows are going to be pretty quick succession. You got Brisbane on the 13th of October, then you make it on the 14th to here to Wollongong, to yours and ours, just up the road in Sydney at the Metro on Sunday. Adelaide, Melbourne, and then Torquay, another regional show in Victoria. And then I guess you get to go back to a Delaware winter, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's already gotten cold here. It's crazy. It's like, what? I don't like this at all. But that's why I'm looking to get down there to Australia and experience spring. I'm not sure I've ever been there during actual spring, so that'll be fun.
We've got a El Nino at the moment as well, so it's going to be dry and hot. So make sure you fill up your camel pack.
Cool. All right, I will.
Awesome. Milo, good to talk to you, mate. This is The Descendents on ABC Illawarra. Good to talk to you.
All right, good to talk to you.